About a year ago, Amichai Chikli was facing an uncertain political future after being booted from then Prime Minister Naftali Bennett's Yamina party, which he accused of betraying its right-wing principles. But after shifting his allegiance to now Premier Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud, Chikli is sitting in the cabinet as Minister of Diaspora Affairs. And he's been outspoken in that role. For example, a few weeks ago, publicly telling U.S. Ambassador Thomas Knights to, quote, mind his own business, after the envoy said the Biden administration had suggested to the Israeli government to slow down its judicial reforms. Well, here in the studio, Minister of Diaspora Affairs, Amichai Chikli. Minister Chikli, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Back again on the rundown. Well, you are the voice of Israel to the diaspora, and you're hearing a lot from the diaspora now, even including from the U.S. ambassador, who is an American Jew and part of the diaspora. Before we break down even some of the specific issues, what is the voice that they have? Does the diaspora have a right, a role, a responsibility in issues, for example, like the judicial reforms debate in Israel?
Absolutely. I think that we are one people, and that's not just a slogan, that's a fact, the Jewish people, and we care about Jews all across the world, and because we care about them, we also care about what they have to say about what's happening in Israel. Obviously, when it's coming to decision-making is taking place here in Israel, in the Knesset, as when you are a citizen. In some cases, let's say the grandchild law, I think it's wise to bring people, leaders from the diaspora, to the discussion table.
Right, that's a law that deals with Jewish immigration issues. So that specifically relates to that.
When it concerns to judicial reforms, we hear the voices, but that's an inner issue that needs to be decided within the Knesset, maybe the president home if they're for unique reason, but we are listening, we're hearing what they have to say, but decisions are being made here.
But when you hear, because you're, again, speaking to those voices, when we hear voices in the diaspora, we just spoke earlier with Professor Alan Dershowitz, who has expressed reservations about these judicial reforms. Noah Tishby, actually, I guess an Israeli, though she seems to be more part of the diaspora, who spent the last few years defending Israel, expressing concern. Does that not give you pause for concern on the judicial reforms as the Diaspora Affairs Minister?
So I think when you listen to the opposition, you cannot ignore and their I think exaggerate reaction, saying that we are going into dictatorship. I was driving here to the studio and saw the signs, stop the dictatorship. Which dictatorship? What are you talking about? So yes, so Noah Tishby is concerned because she's hearing people like Yair Lapid or Benny Gantz saying, oh, that's a disaster. Oh, there's going to be a civil war. With who? You're going to have a civil war. With who?
But doesn't that give you, doesn't that call into question the government's own communications here? That maybe they should slow things down and give a better explanation of why they are doing it if people like Noah Tishby don't understand it?
So okay, maybe... Look, I really respect Noah Tishby.
I'm using as an example. I meant those that are concerned.
Actually, I met her recently in the IAC conference back in Houston, Texas. It was a wonderful event. Now, it's okay. She can be concerned. We're listening also to Noah Tishby, and we care about Noah Tishby. And I want Noah Tishby to be proud of the state of Israel, and we want every Jew to be proud of the state of Israel. The problem now is that the opposition is taking advantage of the masses that are in the street, and they're saying, okay, we can take down the government. Eventually, opposition, the role of an opposition is to change the government. And they're saying, okay, we have masses, they are worried, we made them far more worried than they should be. And now let's take advantage of the situation, and we will not go to the negotiation table. We will not speak with the coalition. We will ban the coalition, and we are calling for the opposition, come and speak.
So you're in favor of negotiation?
For sure. Netanyahu said it 3 hours ago. I was with him in the Knesset. Okay. Let's negotiate. But they're saying, no. First you stop. why should we stop? Why should we stop?
Again, let's keep it also, let's talk about that, but keep it on issues related to the ones you're dealing with. You mentioned the grandfather clause, the law of immigration. One Jewish grandparent enables you to come. People are saying this government, if it could change it just with 61 votes, then it'll be able to change a law like that, discount potentially hundreds of thousands, if not millions of potential Jewish immigrants, and there won't be a Supreme Court to say no, that changing that basic law would be a mistake.
So first of all, let's say for a moment with the judicial reform, there's going to be a compromise.
There will be a compromise.
Yeah, there will be compromise. So I think one of the most important thing is the basic clause.
Right.
And because you cannot say, okay, there won't be judicial criticism on basic law, and at the same time to say we can have any law to be in the same procedure of regular law and a basic law. So there needs to be a unique procedure for basic law in order that you can avoid judicial criticism, and it will be in a standard of like a constitution, like Aaron Barak said. So the suggestion that was Yariv Levin said that he adopted this suggestion is that you need to have 4 call for basic law, meaning not just this Knesset but also the next Knesset, or 70 Knesset members, and I think that's a positive.
So you're in favor. You're in favor of those.
Or legal advisor in the U.S. Right. Legal advisor, he can force a minister what to do. No, so
okay. Let me ask you, as a Diaspora Affairs Minister, do you think the laws of immigration to Israel of Aliyah should be changed and the grandfather clause should be amended?
So there needs to be correction. Why? Because back in the 90s, most of the immigrants, most of the Olim, they were related to Judaism, and there was no question about their connection to the Jewish people, no question. But today, many people who are coming mainly from Ukraine and Russia, they don't really have any relation to the Jewish people. So, and after a year or two, 40% of them are leaving, and therefore I think we need to have some corrections and to have a process maybe like a visa to see these people, they want to be part of the Jewish people.
So you do want to curtail to some degree the immigration from the former Soviet Union.
We need to have some corrections. We need to adjust the process to make it more, to make it a bit more difficult to get citizenship here in Israel. Not because your grandfather, I don't know,
one grandfather.
No, but it's also it's not just the grandfather. It's also the father of the grandfather. That's also, if you go down to the details, not just a grandfather, and it's also your brother, your sister. It's a problem.
Okay, well, not everybody agrees that position, but that's for them to argue with. I want to move to another issue. Certainly, the American Jewish community has taken a close look at, and that is the prayer at the Western Wall, the Kotel law. Some say there should be some space there for non-Orthodox prayer, not necessarily in the main section, which is on the northern side of Robinson's Arch, but in that section, in the southern section, and that's what the Kotel law, the Kotel proposal proposed. Are you in favor of that, or are you feeling with the ultra-Orthodox parties that there's just no room for anything but Orthodox prayer there?
Look, so the previous government made the 0 changes in the status quo in the Kotel.
Okay.
0.
Okay.
I think it's going to remain the same in this government, and you saw there was an attempt to have a rule about the Kotel coming from Shas, and it didn't even enter the room of the Committee of Ministers for Legislation. So there's not going to be any changes, for better or worse, in the status quo in the Kotel.
For better or for there's going to be, are you saying that's your position? You're saying that this government will not make any changes
the status quo will remain under this government, and we saw a test, and you can see it months ago.
When you were in the studio a year ago, you told me and the viewers you were leaving because the Bennett government was not standing by its principles that you felt they deserved settlement, increasing settlement in the West Bank, the security situation. You are now part of a government that has evacuated outposts, that again delayed building in the E1 settlement, that has seen a rise in terror attacks, even inside Israel during its time in office. I mean, how do you feel this government is doing on the very principles you attacked the previous government on?
So you're not accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, the new settlements that were they're now legal. Or what we call the ההתיישבות החדשה, the new settlements.
The settlement outposts, let's say.
7 settlements that were waiting for 15 years to be proven, and they were proven, and 9,000 residence units in Judea and Samaria that were approved. So I don't think we are building in Judea and Samaria far more than the previous government, and we've made the dramatic change with the new settlements that were approved. So that's one. Now, in fighting with terror, yes. A year ago, there was a series. I was just this morning at the cemetery in Beersheba, and I was in Azkara for one of the victims.
You're sitting Shiva for a remembrance of
the remembrance for the whole horrific terror attack in Beersheba, and there was the same week was Beersheba, Hadera, Bnei Brak. It was a terrible week. So yes, there were terror attacks in the past year, and we do have terror attacks happening now. I think that the legislative changes, the reform is critical so that we can pass laws to fight terror in a far more...
what specifically, Minister?
The rule that allows the government to
expel
the terrorists, to take citizenship, house demolishing, etc., etc.
Do you think those steps are going to actually decrease the number? I'm asking you, do you think those steps are going to decrease the number of terror attacks in Israel?
It's one part. It's one part of it.
Okay.
Also, strengthening the police, bringing more police, 9 billion shekels.
Do you think Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir is the person who's going to be successful in making those changes in the police? What is your assessment of his performance?
I think that in 2 months you cannot judge a minister. I think that Bar-Lev, the previous minister, was one of the worst that we had, and Itamar Ben-Gvir is. It's too early to decide about his role. When it comes to budget, he brought a huge budget, and we'll see.
Has the government lived up to your expectations that you have? I mean, you're a key figure in making this government possible. Let's put it that way.
First of all, the government, just like the previous government, we are in a situation where the Likud party is being banned by the center parties. So we are forming a government with who we form a government with. That's one. I think that this government, when it comes to Judea and Samaria, when it comes to the judicial reform, when it comes to laws to count for fighting terror, there are some serious positive changes that are being made. Also with the Bedouins in the Negev, also with the budget that for the Arab sector, things are on the in a good direction, but I think it will need more time before we give grades to this.
We are out of time. Diaspora Affairs Minister Amichai Chikli.